I hope you can hear me okay. My name is John Brogan. I'm with the Consortium Management Unit, and we welcome all of you, our colleagues and member organizations of the Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium, to this second training of our three-part training on mobile data collection, with a focus on the facility evaluation tool for WASH in schools and WASH in healthcare facilities, which is also known as FACET. So as we mentioned in the previous session, FACET was launched in 2018 on World Health Day. It was developed by the Swiss Federal Institute for Aquatic Science and Technology, also known as Eawag, and Terre des Hommes, with support from the UN Joint Monitoring Program and the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, as well as our technical partner, CartONG, who is also presenting this training today. So this training series is geared towards those Swiss water and sanitation projects in the third phase. There are 15 of them, but we do have a wider audience with us today. There are additional project teams from consortium members and their partners who are listening in and getting an introduction to mobile data collection and FACET. Those who were in the first training session last week should have already gone through an exercise of conducting a Blue Schools or a healthcare facilities survey with the tools that we covered last week. In many cases, it was probably a desk survey, something done in your office, because it may not have been possible to access a school or a healthcare facility. That's fine. Today, we'll be reviewing feedback on those exercises, and then we'll be introducing the Kobo account. And finally, we'll be also talking about how to prepare for the baseline survey for the Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium projects. If you are not able to test the survey, or if you are joining us for the first time, we have the materials and the recording from the first training session, and we'll be recording this training session. Actually, we are recording right now, and we'll make it all available. We advise you to mute your video cameras, mute your microphones, and switch off your cameras. In the lower left part of your screen, you see those two icons, the video camera and the microphone. Please switch these off. We would like to enjoy the best connectivity today, and also so that everyone can hear the presenter. So that's why we're asking that. If you have questions at any point during the survey or during the presentation, please type them into the chat window, and you'll see a chat icon in the middle part of the screen at the bottom. If you move your cursor, if you're not seeing it, then you'll see the chat window. You can type any questions you have at any moment, and we will respond those questions at different parts of the presentation. It may be that we take a break, or we pause and we take a group of questions, or we wait and take some questions at the end. I'll be looking at the chat window and collecting the questions. Because we have a significant number of material to cover in the next 90 minutes, we're not going to be doing a round of participant introductions. We do invite you, like we did last week, to introduce yourselves in the chat window. If you can type your name, what country you're coming from, your organization, your position, and I'll do an example. So if you could just take a few seconds and type in your info. And while you're doing that, I'm very much pleased to introduce again our lead trainer, Claudia Grigore. Claudia is an information management specialist at CartONG. She's been with CartONG for 3 years, and she's one of the lead trainers for mobile data collection. And as we said last week, usually these trainings are happening in person. So we're experimenting with a new format for doing distance learning through short webinars where you get the information, and then practical sessions in between for practice and giving feedback. So I'm very pleased to pass to you, Claudia.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good day, everyone. And welcome back to the training. Okay, so I invite you all to mute yourselves so that we don't have any echoes or any issues with the sound. And if you have any questions or anything that you don't hear very well, or during this 1 hour and a half webinar, please don't hesitate to put a message on the chat, and we will monitor it on a regular basis during today's session. So let's go into today's agenda. What are we going to look at during session 2 of today? So as John said, you have piloted the forms that we have looked at during last session by using the tools that we have looked at as well during last session. And today we are, and we have received some feedbacks from you on the tool itself, on ODK Collect, whether you have experienced any challenges or anything you might have experienced with it. And we will also, after that, we will look at the Kobo Toolbox account, which is a server, and this is where from which you manage first of all, your questionnaire, your survey, and also the data that you will be receiving from ODK Collect. Further on, we'll be looking at the feedback that we have also received on the content of the FACET survey forms themselves, on the Blue Schools and Healthcare Facilities forms. And finally, we're going to discuss the homework for session 3, which will be basically the baseline that will be conducted further on. So first of all, let's have a look at ODK Collect. Now we have looked at the feedback that you have shared to us. So first of all, we are going to go through that feedback one by one. So we have collected all your feedbacks, and we have seen that there are some common issues that you might have encountered, if you have encountered any issues. Some of you might didn't have any issues at all. And after that, we will be looking into additional features on ODK Collect that could be useful for you during the data collection, such as how to navigate, how to easily navigate through the form, and how to delete any questionnaire or data from your ODK Collect application if needed. Okay, so first of all, it came to our attention through your feedback that some of you have experienced issues, challenges, when you have attempted to install the application itself, ODK Collect, on your phone. Now, just a quick reminder, and of course, if you had issues with that, you were not able to experience all the other steps, such as connecting to the server, downloading your questionnaire, going through your questionnaire, and so on. We are sorry for that. If you still encounter issues after this training, please let us know, and we will help you. No worries. Now, just remember that ODK Collect is only available on Android phones. So if you are attempting to download it on iPhones or iPads, it will not work. It will simply not work. You will not find the application on iPhones and iPads when going on iTunes, for instance, or at the Apple Store. It is an application that can work with Android phones only, and you can access it through the Google Play Store app, where basically the Google Play Store app is the app through which you can download all the other apps on your Android phones. So basically you can just go there and type in ODK Collect, and as soon as you find it, you can click on install. Of course, you need to have internet at that point. Now let me go. So I will exit the presentation, and I'll show you my emulator so that you can see exactly where. So this is an Android emulator. It is not an iPhone one. As if it was an iPhone one, it would not work simply. Now, in order to download the ODK Collect application, if you don't have it yet, you can go on the Google Play Store, such as here, and type in ODK Collect. As you can see, I have already typed in. And as soon as you find it, so now I have the button open because I already have it on my phone. But if you don't have it yet, you'll have the button install. And as soon as you access it, I can uninstall it now because I already have it. But if I don't have it yet, I can install it or open it once I have it. So basically, this is how you can download it. And for you to be able to do this, you'll need to be logged in on your Google Apps App Store with a Gmail account or any other login settings you might have in place. So as you can see here, I'm logged in with my account. So this is how you can download it. If you're still experiencing issues, so keep in mind it will not work on iPhone. So if you're attempting on iPhones, unfortunately, we cannot help you install it on iPhones because it doesn't work. But if you have an Android phone and you're still experiencing issues downloading it on your Android, please let us know and we will help you with this. Okay, so this was the first thing. Now, from the common feedback that we have received from you, it seems some of you, even though they had managed to download the application ODK Collect, they had issues connecting to the server. Now, just as a reminder, connecting to the server. So in order to connect to the server, first of all, you need to enter the application. So you need to get into the application, and then you need to go to the settings of the server so that you can enter your credentials and connect to that server. So when you open your application, you'll arrive at the main menu as here in the first screenshot. And then you'll need to click on those three dots up there, which are the settings. Select the general settings as the server settings is in the general settings. And then select server. And once you are in the server settings, now for the particular exercise we did during the last session, I had told the server to only ask for the URL, so you could have let the username and password empty, but enter the URL. So you can simply click on it, enter exactly as it is your URL. Otherwise, you'll not be able to connect to the server. And then go back twice. And then go. Oh, sorry, we have some background noise. And then go back twice, and then you will be able to get the blank form. So let me show you how you can do this on my smartphone. So this is again my smartphone, my computer, and I enter ODK Collect application. Now, once I am here, if you have less or more buttons than I have here, don't worry about this. This is a setting issue. Well, not really an issue, it's just a setting, the way it's been set up. Now, once you're here in the main menu, you can click on those three dots, access the general settings, the server, then enter the information you need to enter for you to be able to connect to the server. So you can do so by simply clicking on it, then enter exactly the URL as it should be, as otherwise it will not work. The username, you can leave it empty. The password, you can also leave it empty. And then you can go back and back again, arrive at the main menu, and then you're ready to download your form. So I've just did a quick demonstration in case you're still having issues. If you're still experiencing issues with this after this session, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'll happily support you with this. Now, another common issue that we have observed from the feedback you've provided to us was that you were able to download the ODK Collect application. You were able to connect to the server, but then something happened when you were attempting to download the form. It didn't work for a reason or another. You probably have received an error message here when clicking on this, or something went wrong. You didn't manage to get the survey. Now, just as a quick reminder, you are able to download the survey from Kobo Toolbox to your application ODK Collect by, first of all, entering the server credentials, which we have already looked at, and then by going back to the main menu of ODK Collect and clicking on Get Blank Form. Now, when you do this, you are communicating with the server, which is an online tool. So you need to have the internet, to have your Wi-Fi on, to be connected to a Wi-Fi or 3G, 4G, any type of connection, but you need to have a connection at that time. So if you don't have a connection and you click on Get Blank Form, it will not work. So that might be one of the issues you might have encountered. or maybe your connection was not stable enough, and when it was attempting to connect, it timed out. It took too much time, and it times out at some point. It just gives up searching for the server. So that's one of the things you need to be careful with when you attempt to download the questionnaire. Now, once you click on Get Blank Form, it will search for the server. And then if it manages to connect to the server, you'll see all the surveys that are available there, all the questionnaires that are available there, and you'll be able to download them one by one or all together. You can select all or clear all from this button here. And then once you have all the ones that are of interest to you that are selected, you can click on Get Selected. So let me show you again on my emulator. So we are here again to the main menu. Oh, sorry, I'm having a bigger screen. Okay, so now I have entered my credentials of the URL here. I have an internet connection. Everything works fine. Now let's click on Get Blank Form and see what we have here. Okay, so if I have the list of questionnaires, it means I'm connected to the server. If when I click on Get Blank Form, instead of having this, I have a window here opening up with an error message saying I didn't manage to connect, or error 401, something happened. It could be the different types of errors. Then it means you have not managed to connect to the server so that you can download the survey. Now here I have different types of surveys. The ones that I used during my pilot was those ones, the WINS and the WIH. So I can select them one by one. I can select all of them or clear all. I can refresh in case, I don't know, meanwhile I have added another survey from my server, and so on. So now I'm going to clear all and just click on those and click on Get Selected. And it can take a few seconds, a few minutes, depending on your connection. But if it's telling you that it's downloading, it's fine, don't worry. And as soon as it's finished, as it has downloaded your survey, it will tell you download results, the surveys that it has selected to download, and then success for each one of them if it worked. If one of them worked but not the other, it will tell you success, and then the other one failed. You'll have different messages for them if it didn't manage to take them all. Now I have managed to have them all, so it's fine. So I can just simply click on OK. And in order to access them, remember it's on field blank form. Blank form means questionnaire. So here, the two of them that I have selected are accessible here through field blank form. Now, let me go back to the presentation. So those were the main issues you have encountered with ODK during the pilot when you have attempted to download the application, connect to the server, and then download the form. Some of you have also experienced going through the questionnaire. So how do I scroll to my questionnaire? How do I enter it? How do I go from one question to the other, and so on? So we thought that showing you this option here might be very helpful for you, for those of you having experienced that issue. So this is what I call it the navigation button, because as you might have observed during your survey, you would have one question per screen, and you'd have to scroll, as we said last time. You would have to scroll from right to left to right, depending on the if you're going forward or backwards, to go to the next question. Or you might have those buttons here, back and next and back. As I'll have them on my computer, as it is a computer, I cannot scroll on my computer. But you might have them or not have them on your phone. This is a matter of settings, how you set up your navigation to the forms. But let's imagine that you are filling in the survey and you're at the very end of the survey, and then you think, oh shoot, there's this first question, the answers should have been different. It's wrong. I need to go back there and change that answer because it will not be correct. I cannot save it this way. I need to change it. And then you realize, oh, but I need to go like question by question to go there. It might take me a few minutes. Oh, that's a long time. How do I manage to go there quickly? And this is through the navigation button. you can easily navigate jump in from one question to the other without having to scroll in every single question before that. Now, once you are in your questionnaire, I'll show you afterwards on my emulator as well, don't worry. But once you are in the questionnaire itself, so you have entered, here we are in the WINS survey, you will see this button here. This is a navigation button. And as soon as you click on this button, you will see all your questions in a list instead of having one question per screen. And you have those buttons here, like the up and then go to start, go to end buttons that are available. Now, once you are in the navigation button or navigation mode, you can either go to start. So you can click here on this button, go to start, and it will bring you to the very first screen of your questionnaire, whether it's a question itself, a note, or anything, a message for you, anything at all. It will bring you at the very, very beginning. And likewise, you have the go to end button, which will, oh, it's not the first, sorry, it's the last screen, go to the last screen of the survey. So if you click on go to end, it will bring you to the last screen of the questionnaire, which usually is where you need to tick, have this form finalized in order to be able to send it to the server, and then you have save and exit. You can move up the sections. For instance, here I have question pre-1, pre-2, pre-3, pre-4, and this is in the preliminary questions section. Now, if I want to go to another section, I'm not interested in by question here, but like in another section, I can click on the up button to go up the sections. And then I can select the section that is of interest to me, and then I can see all the questions there. So I can do that. I can move up the sections, or I can move down into the sections themselves. And once I see the question that I need to change, that I need to visualize on my screen, I can simply click on it, and then it will bring me to that specific question in the question. Okay, let's look at this together. Now, I have my emulator here, and I'm at the main menu of ODK Collect. I have entered it. Now I wish, okay, let me make it bigger. It will be better. Oops. Oh, sorry. Okay, good. I'm at the main menu of ODK Collect. I will click on Fill Blank Form in order to access one of my questionnaires. Let's assume I wish to enter the WINS survey. So I will click on the WINS survey to enter it. I have this first question here. It's not really a question. It's more of a general information for me that I'm using this tool, that I will do this and this and this. So I'll go to next. And I'm here at this question. And let's assume, I don't know, I select something. Okay, today's date. But now I want to see another. Okay, maybe let's choose a few questions so that I can open up other sections. District A, School 1, preliminary school, yes. Okay, my name is Claudia. I'm the principal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm the phone number. And then what is this question? It's okay, it's okay. Now, I don't know, I want to go and shoot. Oh, I wanted to go back and it's not the correct date. I want to change the date, which is the first question. How do I do that? So I'm here into the survey at the one question by screen mode, not the navigation mode. So I want to go directly there. I don't want to go back all those questions to arrive there. So I'll click on the navigation button here, and it will bring me to this screen here. So here I'm in the preliminary question general information section, and I have all the questions. If, for instance, I want to go at the question JI6A, I'll simply click on it, and I'm here. Now, if this is not the one that I wanted to go to, but I wanted to go in another section, the first one, not name of interview person, I want to look at the data. I will go up a section, and here I have the general intro, which is a note, and then I have all the sections here. I have a folder. So this, I was here in general information. I want to go here in preliminary questions. I'll simply click on it. And then I have all the questions that are displayed in that specific section, sorry. And I'll click on date of the assessment. And now I'm here and I can change it. No worries. Now, if I wanted, for instance, to go at the very start, I would click on go to start and I arrive here at the notes at the very beginning. And if I want to go at the end, I'll click simply on go to end and I'm here. You're at the end of FACET Wind Survey, mark form as finalized, that I always need to tick to be able to send the data afterwards. And then I could click on save form and exit. I cannot do so right now because I have some missing information still. So I need to go back and fill in and all of that. So if I need to scroll again through it, I will use a navigation button and so on. Okay, hopefully this is clear. If you're still having issues with this, with how to navigate, please let us know and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, now, another thing that you might need to do, so we have looked at how to easily navigate through the form, which can also save you time during the data collection. You don't have to go through all the questions to go to that specific question you want to go to. Now, you might need to delete some questionnaires as well. For instance, during last session, I had told you that when you're preparing your phones, your smartphones, your Android phones, with ODK Collect application, and then give them to the enumerators for them to go and collect the data on the field, I had made a suggestion for you to only keep the questionnaires that are needed for that specific data collection. And let's assume you took those smartphones, those Android phones from another colleague in another section that did a survey that has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. So the questionnaire and the data is still there. That person didn't clean the phones. So they provided those phones and you have some other questionnaires there that are you definitely not use for data collection. And you need to delete them from there. And also some data as well. So how do you delete that? How do you clean them for you to have like just your questionnaire, the one used for your data collection, and that's all. So that there's no confusion among enumerators as to which one they need to use and so on. You can do so by clicking, so this is again the main menu of ODK Collect, and you have this button here, delete saved form. So basically this is the place from which you'll be able to delete any questionnaires and also any data you wish to do. Now for the questionnaire, it's pretty straightforward. You click here on delete saved form, then you have this second screen that will open up and you have the saved form and blank form. You have two different tabs here. Remember, blank form means questionnaire. So this is the place from which you'll be deleting any questionnaire you wish to delete, blank forms. So delete saved forms and then click on blank forms. And then you can select either all of them by clicking on select all, or just one or two, and then click on delete selected. You need to confirm that you indeed wish to delete this one, and then it's going to be gone from your phone. Now, what happens if you, so it will not be on your phone anymore. You're not deleting it from the server. If you're just locally deleting it from your phone, you don't want to have that specific questionnaire on your phone, but you will not be telling Kobo Toolbox, please delete me this questionnaire. It's just on your side, locally. So if you mistakenly delete a form or a questionnaire from ODK Collect, can you retrieve it? Yes, it's fine, because even if you're locally deleting it from your phone, it will still be on the server. Remember, you connected to the server to get it from there. So you not tell Kobo Toolbox, please delete it from there. It will keep it. Nothing will change for Kobo Toolbox. So if you mistakenly delete it, then you can retrieve it back by simply doing the get blank form, the downloading procedure again. So you need to be sure you're connected to the right server, have a Wi-Fi connection or 3G or 4G, and then click on get blank form and then download it again. So it's fine. Now, I told you that you can also delete data. Now with the data, it's another story. You need to be very careful when you delete the data. Because, so it's basically, in order to delete the data, you need to click on delete saved form again. And instead of selecting blank forms, you'll be using and selecting saved forms. So saved forms mean data. However, and then again, you can select all of them or one by one and then click on delete selected. But be very careful when you delete the data from your phone, because in this list here, under saved forms, delete saved forms, you'll have all the data that is on your phone, meaning you'll have the data that has been collected on your phone and just saved, not finalized yet, so not sent to the server yet. You'll have as well data that has been entered, collected, it's complete, and it's finalized, but it hasn't been sent to the server yet. And you'll also have a copy of the data you have already sent to the server. You have all of them there, not necessarily in order of like time-wise. It's going to be the first one you've collected here, and the second, third, and fourth, and then. However, it's not going to be by status of the data, and it will not tell you, oh, this one has been sent, you can delete it, this one not. And the thing you need to be really careful with is that your data, as long as it has not been sent to the server yet, it's only stored locally on your phone. And if you delete it from your phone, you'll not be able to retrieve it anymore. If you have collected your data and sent to the server, even if you delete it from your phone, it's fine because you have a copy on the server. However, if you have not sent it yet, you delete it, it's gone. You have to, if you needed that data, you need to recollect it again. So that could be quite some additional work. So be very careful when you do that. My suggestion would be to do that at the end of the data collection. Don't touch the data itself until the very end of the data collection, when you know that all the data has been collected and then it has been sent to the server and it's physically on the server. You have checked that, it's there. So if you delete it from your phone, it's fine. It will not be deleted from the server, it's still stored there, it's fine. So basically, pay very, very much attention to those that have a status saved on. So this means the data is collected and saved, but not finalized yet, so not sent to the server yet. And the ones that are finalized on, so this means the data was collected, saved, and finalized on ODK Collect, but not sent to the server yet. The ones that have a status sent on, it means they were sent to the server. So there's a copy of them there, it's fine. But the other ones are very, be very careful with them, because if you delete them, they're gone. You need to recollect the data. So let's have a look at on my phone, how this looks like. Now, I will go back. I don't want to spend time finalizing my data entries. I'll just ignore everything. But as you can see here, I have a data that I can still edit. Oh, maybe we need to make this screen bigger. It will be easier for you. As you can see here, I have a one next to edit saved form and one next to send finalized form. So this means I have a data entry here on my phone that I could send to the server, but I probably didn't send it yet. So let's click on delete saved form and see what I have here. Now, if I go to blank form, I have the two questionnaires that I've just downloaded. So I could delete both of them, or let's just delete one in case we need the other one for this training. I will select it, click on delete selected, and then it asks me to confirm. I will say yes, I want to delete it. So delete forms. And now it told me, okay, you successfully deleted this one, and I only have the wings that is on my phone. So if I go back and click on fill blank form, I don't have the WIH form anymore. I've deleted it. But if I needed to have it again, I can click on get blank form, and I could download it from the server again. Remember, I didn't delete it from the server directly, so I could click on get selected and have it downloaded on my phone, success. Now it's back, it's good. Now let's look at the data. So delete saved forms. I go to saved forms, and here I only have one data entry from my on my smartphone that has a status finalized on. So this means I have collected it, I have saved it, I have finalized it, but not sent to the server yet. So if I click on this and click on delete selected, it'll be gone. I will not be able to retrieve it. So I'll have to recollect it again. So let's, yes, we probably don't need it anymore. So I will show you. Delete selected, delete form. And now if I go back, there's no more one next to my edit saved form and self-analyze form. I don't have any more data here. It's gone. So if I needed that, it's not going to be on the server, so I'll need to reconnect. Okay, good. Now, okay, I'm closing this. So we have looked at all the aspects that we wish to look at on ODK Collect today. John, are there any questions on this for now?
Not right now. There was a question about the setting of the arrows. So instead of just swiping on your screen, if you prefer to press the arrow on your screen, how to make that. If that's something easy to show, we could do that.
To put the arrow instead of scroll. Okay,
yes.
Sure. So this is a matter of how you set up your ODK Collect application. So basically, when you are on your main menu, you would always access the settings from here. So you have the three dots here, and yes, it's on the general settings. So instead of going to the server, to connect to the server, you'll be going on user interface. Yes, that's one. And here you have navigation. So general settings, user interface, and then navigation. And from here you can tell it, okay, I want to use horizontal swipes. I'll not be doing this on my computer because I cannot swipe on my computer, so I'll be stuck basically. You can use the backward buttons only, or you can use them both. And this is what I have on my computer. I use swipes and buttons. But I could also use this one, use forward, backward buttons. And when I go into my survey, for instance, the WINS one, you'll see that I have the back and next buttons. If I go, I can also access the general settings from here, from the survey itself. General settings, user interface. And now let's choose horizontal swipes and see what happens. I don't have those buttons anymore. I cannot. Oh, I can actually swipe with my mouse. Okay, I didn't know that. This is new. But I don't have those buttons anymore. So I'll have to like swipe with my finger and then select and then and swipe again. And if I want them back, again, general settings, user interface, and use them both. Is this okay?
That's great. Thank you, Claudia.
Great.
There was another question that just came on. The user is saying that he or she can't put the name of the country, school name, region. How can I do that? That's a very good question. This version of the form is a test version, so we haven't yet entered any of the information. There are two ways you could do that. You could set it up so that you could type in the answer, the response, or you could set it up to have all of the names of the schools that you're going to survey already there and all of the different teams already there, so that you could actually just choose what region, what district, what school. And that's what we're doing. We're helping those 15 Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium projects. They're sending us an Excel form with that information, and then we'll pre-configure their form and send it to them. If you're not part of the Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium 15 projects in phase 3, we can also guide you on the hotline as to how you can do that. And then Claudia, a question for you. The same person has saved the form, wants to edit it, but can't work for that. How can I do that? We might need a little bit more clarification on that question. If you could retype it in, or if you could unmute yourself and just explain, please.
I just wanted to, I don't know if you see my screen. So this is the sheet through which you can tell us the information of the country, the region, province, and so that we can prepare the surveys for you so that you can have the choices inside here, for instance, instead of having country A, if you wish to have country, another country, then just type it in here and we will be able to add it.
Okay, and in the meantime, a question about elaborating on how to use the GPS for location information in Kobo ODK. We covered that last week. However, we may have some time to do that at the end, Claudia.
Yes, we can maybe do that at the end. Yes.
Okay, we'll keep that question for the end, Lemma.
Sure.
Thanks, Claudia. Please keep going.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry for this. Okay, so I'm closing this. Now, let's look at the Kobo Toolbox server now. So last week, yes, during session 1, we have shown you the different steps of the data collection with the tools that we use at each one of those steps. So you have a design, collect, manage, and analyze of your data. Last week, we have looked at ODK Collect, which is under the collect step. So used for the data collection in order to collect the data. Now we're going to look at the design, step 1, and manage, step 3 of the data collection steps and their tools, which is basically the server, the Kobo Toolbox server. So we're going to look into that now specifically. Now, at the step 1 design, you will have to have the FACET XLS form, the one you'll be using for your questionnaire, that you don't have to prepare yourself. We will prepare it for you, no worries. We just need to have the specific information for your context through the sheet that we have just shown you before. So once you have that, you will have to put it on the Kobo Toolbox server, and we will show you today how to do that. Then through your ODK Collect application, you have to get the questionnaire that you have just put on the Kobo Toolbox, the FACET XLS file, collect the data, then send the data back to Kobo Toolbox, from which you'll be able to manage and visualize the data that was collected. So this is what we're going to look into further on right now. So first of all, what is Kobo Toolbox? So we've told you this is the server, the platform where you have your questionnaire and also the data that has been collected and sent to the server, the Kobo Toolbox server. Now, Kobo Toolbox is an online server, so you need internet for that. Initially developed by Harvard Humanitarian Initiative with the support from UNOCHA. So the one we'll be using, there are several Kobo Toolbox, but the one we'll be using is what we call the OCHA one. And the address to which you'll access it is different from others that maybe you might have came across. Or, but yeah, so this is the one we'll be using. Now, again, just as a quick reminder, what was the interaction between Kobo Toolbox, the server, and ODK Collect, the application? So first of all, Kobo Toolbox is completely online. It is an online server, so whenever you are on Kobo Toolbox, you need internet. Now, ODK Collect, it depends. ODK Collect, you only had to have internet when you communicate with Kobo Toolbox. So basically, when you download the blank form, the questionnaire, and when you upload the results or the data. Now, I'll show you the steps on how to connect to the server, how to create a questionnaire, a new questionnaire, how to make it visible on ODK Collect and all of that. So first, pay attention to the slides that I'm showing you. And after that, we'll have a practical exercise together. We will be sending to you the XLS form. And for you to practice, and then we will be looking at it together. So for now, just look at the presentation. I'll be explaining to you the different steps, and then we'll practice together. So the first thing, in order to connect to the server, that you need to do is, well, type in the address of the server in order to access it. So you have to go on a computer. It's better to go on a computer. If you do on a smartphone, it's going to be really, really a tiny little screen. Even the setup of the screen, the way it's been shown, is going to be different from a computer. So please use the computer for this. It's going to be much better for you. Go to your browser and type in the following link. So it's https://kobo.humanitarianresponse.info. And then once you type in that address, you'll be arriving at the screen here, Kobo Toolbox, and then username, password, login, or create an account in the middle of your screen. So enter your username and password, and then you can click on login in order to enter the Kobo Toolbox server. If you do not have an account and need to create one, you can always create one by simply clicking on create an account. Remember, this is accessible to anyone and free of charge. And once it's created, you'll receive a validation email with a link that you will have to click on to validate your account. Now, for this training, some SWSC project teams have received the login credentials through email. Please use those ones for those that have received one. The other ones, I invite you to just have a look at the screens today and the demonstrations, and then attempt to create an account after the webinar. As it can take still, as you can see it, so you have to click on create an account and then enter some information. You receive a validation email, you have to search for it, click on the link in the validation email, and then once you have done that, you'll be able to connect. So you might lose a few steps of this webinar if you attempt to do so during this webinar. So we invite you to do it afterwards for those not having a login yet. For those having another login, an existing one prior to this training and one that we have not sent to you through email, please use that one as well. You feel free to use it, no worries. Okay, then.
There's a question about the login, Claudia.
Yes.
If the login here for Kobo Toolbox, the username and password is the same as for ODK Collect?
Yes, yes. So I'll show to you afterwards the link between the two of them. But yes, the username and password that you didn't have to enter last time, but you might need to use it this time. I'll show you how to manage that, the settings. But yes, it's basically the username and password of the Kobo Toolbox account, the one that you need to input in ODK Collect if you need to input it. We will look at this further on, don't worry. Okay, now, once you are, so now I'm connected on my computer on the Kobo Toolbox account. So this is the one I've been using. You have a screenshot of the one I've been using for this training. In order to have a new questionnaire, you need to create it first. And in Kobo Toolbox, a new questionnaire equals a new project. So here we use the term project. And in order to create one, you'll see the blue buttons in general in Kobo Toolbox are important and very useful. You'll see there are actually two of them that I can think of right now. The new for a new project, new questionnaire, and also deploy that we will be create project here. There are three actually. And then another one that we'll be looking at further. So in order to create a new questionnaire, you will click on new here. You might not have anything here under deploy, the list of anything. If it's completely empty, don't worry if you don't have anything behind here. But you can just click on new and then click on upload an XLS form, which will be the XLS form that we'll be sending to you. And then you have this additional screen, create project, project details, the project name. You can add some information here like a description, the sector, the country, as you wish. And then once you're ready with the project details, you can create project by clicking on this button, and then your project will be created. So then it will bring you to this screen here, basically. So this is the FACET Wind Survey v2.1, and then you have all those options here. So it tells you it's a draft version. If you want to make these changes public, you must deploy this form. Okay, this is something we'll look into afterwards. It's a V1. You have in English and French. You have 280 questions, and it's been today at 2:06 p.m. Now, if you want to visualize your form from here, your questionnaire, you can do so by simply clicking on this eye here. So this is the preview button. And another window will open up showing you question by question, whatever you have in your questionnaire so far. Then, if you wish, for instance, you visualize it through the preview button here and you're like, oh, shoot, there's I don't know, an additional question I wanted to have, but it's not here, or, oh, this term here is not right, I want to change it. You can then let us know for further modifications. Contact your regional advisor to make a request, and then specify the modifications to be brought to your project's XLS form. He or she will circulate the requests within the CMU, and if it's feasible, if the request is possible within the logic of FACET and feasible within SWSC resources, the CMU will request a hotline, which is ourselves, CartONG, to make the modifications. And then once we make the modifications, we will provide you a new XLS form, a modified one with the modifications you needed. And we will send it to you through email or other means. And once you have that, you'll be able to replace the old one with the new one by clicking on this button, Replace Form. And then you have another window opening again, and you need to input that new XLS form. Now, one last thing, and really an important thing to remember. So this is, for now, this is a draft version. So a draft version on your Kobo Toolbox, this might be a version you're still working on and you don't want any smartphone with ODK Collect with the correct credentials to log in to that, to your server and be able to download this FACET Win survey that you're still working on, that is not ready yet for data collection. You don't want it to be visible yet. Well, if it's still a draft, it's not visible yet. Right now, if I keep it this way, and I take my ODK Collect application, connect to the server, and attempt to search for this survey, I will not be able to see it. I will not be able to see it. So for it to be visible on my ODK Collect, I'll need to deploy it. And again, a blue button, very important blue button. I'll need to deploy it. So once I click on deploy, instead of, so you see here, draft version V1 undeployed, and it tells you if you want to make these changes public, you must deploy this form. So I click on deploy, and now my draft will become a current version, V1, and same languages, and again, the same type of questions. So this means it's now deployed. So basically from this point here, I'll be able to go on ODK Collect, connect to general settings, server, enter the credentials for the server, and be able to visualize this questionnaire here that I've just deployed. Okay. Okay, I believe we have some questions on this, right?
Yes, there's a question if there are any errors in the XLS form, for example, an error in the formulas, errors in the survey, the choice sheet. Will Kobo notify while uploading the XLS form?
Yes, very good question. So I see you have already deployed or thought of deploying XLS form that you have maybe modified yourself. So indeed, Kobo will notify you this. However, it will not notify you while you are uploading the XLS form. You can upload the XLS form, for instance here, and it will accept whatever XLS form you are inputting there, whether it's with errors or no errors. It will tell you that there's an error where you click on deploy. This is the time it will tell you, oh, there's an error here in the formula or in the survey or the choices or anything. There's something I don't understand. So this is the time when you click on deploy, when Kobo Toolbox will tell you whatever it doesn't understand. It will tell you, oh, there's an error there, I don't know what you're saying, and so on and so on. However, as it's our job to make sure you don't have any errors. So whenever you will send us the information needed for us to prepare your questionnaire, your XLS form, or to further modify it, we will test it on our side. We will deploy it on our side first to make sure there are no errors. So you basically, the aim is for you to never experience this situation where you will be attempting to deploy and you have errors, as we will be taking care of that.
Thanks, Claudia. Question from Satya in India. Would you kindly say how to get into the Kobo Toolbox site?
Sure. So the Kobo Toolbox site, I came back in the presentation. It's this one. So basically you can just enter kobo.humanitarianresponse.info, and then it will bring you back to this.
And sorry, Claudia, Satya we discussed with Bruno the focal point for Terre des Hommes, and he said that all the countries already have their own Kobo Toolbox account. So that's why we didn't send you the username and password for the Terre des Hommes projects.
Okay, let's do an exercise together. So maybe me showing you the screens of Kobo Toolbox is maybe a bit too theoretical. So let's do so together. Let's attempt to access it together. For those of you having a username, putting in the questionnaire, seeing how it looks like, and deploying it, and so on and so on. Now, right now, I will be sending you, okay, a file from my computer with the WINS draft. So remember, this is a draft. This is not the one to use for your data collections, but I'll be sending to you through the chat. Okay, in the meeting. Oh no, I just sent it to John only. Okay. Now I've sent it to everyone. So it's the SWSC FACET WINS Survey V2 draft, V2.1 draft. Okay, I see a question. Any preferred internet browser which you use? Yes. I know sometimes it happens. So any browser should work with Kobo Toolbox. However, we have seen that Internet Explorer, as it's an older one, still has some issues with the Kobo Toolbox account. So I would suggest Mozilla, Firefox, any other than Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer might work, but it might not work. So yes, any but Internet Explorer, to reply to your question. Now, another question, when I type the site name, I'm sent to https://humanitarianresponse.info. Have you typed in Kobo, kobo.humanitarianresponse.info? Okay. Okay, let us do it together. Okay, so I've sent to you the FACET, the SWSC FACET WINS Survey V2.1 draft. Now use this one, open it, save it on your computer, as you will need to put it on the Kobo Toolbox account. Now, for the SWSC projects, the login to the Kobo Toolbox account was shared with you prior to this session. And for the others, please follow along the presentation and attempt to create your account and deploy a survey after the webinar. And then, as an exercise, we will create a new project and upload the global SWSC FACET WINS form, the draft here, that has just been downloaded on your computer and sent to you, and deploy it. Okay, so let's do this together. I will be going on my browser. Now, I will be logging out. So the address, come on, please. No. Okay. The address is Kobo Humanitarian Response.info. So don't forget to enter the Kobo beforehand, as otherwise it will bring you to the OCHA website, and not to the Kobo Toolbox one. So as soon as I click on this, okay, let me open the chat. As soon as I click on this, oh, I'm logged in, so it directly logs me in. It seems it's using a lot of my connection right now. Okay, so let me log out. Okay, yes. So as soon as I type in this address, kobo.humanitarianresponse.info, it should bring me to this. Lucy, if you're still experiencing issue with entering the sites, even when typing the Kobo in the front, let us know. We can we can look after the session together and see how we can access it. Okay, so as soon as I'm here, I will need to enter my username and my password for me to be able to log in. For those of you not having an account, after the session, you can click on create an account, enter your credentials and validate it and so on. So now I will be entering my username and password. And once I do that, I can click on login and I'll be logged in into my account. Now, for those of you who have just received a brand new account, you will not have a list of things here. It will be empty, and that's normal. It's because you don't have any questionnaires, you don't have any data, you don't have anything on your server so far. And that's okay, no worries. Now, in order to create a new project or questionnaire, I'll need to click on new here, so the blue button, new, and I'll have several options. And the one we will be using for FACET is upload an XLS form. And I can either drag and drop the XLS form file from where it is, but I'll just click on it and go and search it. And I have it here on my computer. So I can either double click on it or click and open or yeah. And as soon as I do this, it will upload my file. Okay, see we have capture on the, so we have an error. I'm looking at the messages we're having right now.
Okay, maybe we can.
Yeah, we can look at this together. Yeah. Okay, let us do the exercise together, and then I'll look at the comments after this.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the chat is open. It's fine. Okay. Now, so I have the project name that enters itself. So this is what I have already in my XLS form, and I can either say this is a draft, or as you wish, or description. You can put any description that you wish. It's not necessary, but you can input it. You can also choose the sector, the country, and so on. And as soon as I'm ready with the project details, I can click on Create Project. And then my project will be created. So now I'm still in draft version, meaning this is not visible yet for my ODK Collect applications on the smartphones. I can visualize it. If I click on Preview, another window will open up. And I can see all the questions. So it's not going to be as in ODK Collect. This is going to be all in a list, and you can see the options so that you can test it. If I need to replace with another one, I can simply click on Replace Form and then upload an XLS form. And then again, I'm going to upload the same because I don't have a different version, but I can always do it. Upload file, and now it's here. And now if I connect on ODK Collect app, I will not be able to see this new questionnaire. So if I want to do this, I will have to click on Deploy. Deploying to KoboCat. And I have a message here, deploying to KoboCat, and as soon as it's done, it will tell you it's successfully done. Deployed form. And look, now you don't have draft anymore, you have current version V1, and you can redeploy. Now, it doesn't make sense to redeploy now, as I didn't do any modifications to it, so now it's deployed as it is. But if I can replace the form and so on, I can redeploy. It will tell me, for instance, I replaced the form again. And as soon as it detects there's a new form, it will tell you, if you want to make these changes public, you must deploy this form. And now I have a V2 that is undeployed. So then I can redeploy, and I can say, okay. Now it will overwrite my existing questionnaire, which makes sense. It will go above it and delete the older one. And now I'm deploying. Okay. And now, so let's keep in mind, this is a draft. Now if I, okay, no, we will look at this together afterwards. Now, Let's look at any questions you might have. So Resham had an issue. So you have sent us a capture, and from what I'm seeing here, this is the error that we have. Okay, so from what I see on your screen, unable to deploy. So basically, this error is here because you have attempted to deploy twice. So you had already deployed it, current version v1, and the button became redeploy, and you hadn't changed anything, and straight after that, you have attempted to deploy it again. So Kobo Toolbox just got a bit confused, and it told you, oh, but you have already done this, I don't understand. So that's all. There's no error in itself, actually. It's just Kobo Toolbox getting a bit dizzy because things were done too fast for him. For it.
Thanks, Claudia. Lucy raised an issue about not being able to get onto the website. When she types the kobo.humanitarian response, what's happening is that she's getting a security certificate. And it says that, and it takes her right to an OCHA site.
Okay.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah. Okay.
Lucy, is that has that resolved itself?
I believe this is something local, in the sense that your firewall, your antivirus is so strong that it's actually blocking the website. It considers it as maybe dangerous, or it's not dangerous in itself. So I believe this is something that happens locally on your side, Lucy, on your computer with the antivirus settings you have in place. So there might be a way, if you wish, we can look at this together after the session, but there might be a way around it to make your computer accept it still and open it.
Okay.
This is probably where you have this issue. Now, don't forget to put the Kobo. Don't forget to put the Kobo before humanitarian response.info, as there is indeed a humanitarian response.info website, and you might be brought there, but you don't want to be there. You want to be on the OCHA Kobo Toolbox account. So you need to put Kobo in front of it.
Samuel is asking, after logging into Kobo, the individual is to create his or her own username and password?
No, you already have one username and password in order to log in to Kobo. So you should use that one for everything that you'll do through this account. Now, maybe it will become clear if I show to you what happens on ODK Collect afterwards. Okay.
Okay, Tigist is saying you couldn't log into the Kobo Toolbox. I created a new one, but I couldn't log in again. Okay.
So when you create a new account, you'll receive an email to the email address you have input when creating it again. And it will provide you a link through email through which you'll need to go through to click on to confirm that you're not a machine creating that account, you're a human being and you need that account. And through that link, you will activate your account. So your account is probably not activated yet. But this is something that we will not do during this session, as it can take some time to create your own account. So I invite you to come to us after this session if you're still experiencing issues.
Sukanta, thank you for sharing the link and supporting us in the chat window. And Girma has said he was able to log in, but uploading is taking so much time. Yes, that can be the case depending on the connection.
Yes, indeed. So this is dependent on the connection itself. It might take some time. It might take some time indeed. Yes. And that's fine. It's just we need to get there. So we need to have a connection stable enough to get there, but sometimes it can take more time. Okay, now, one last thing I wanted to look at together with you. So last time we have provided to you a specific server to connect to. So that was the SWSC FACET training. So we had provided you the URL, and then we told you no username needed and no password needed. Now, as now you'll be having your own accounts, I just wanted to show to you how the URL, username, and passwords are built up for each one of those accounts. Now, I cannot tell you what your specific account is because you all have different ones now, but the URL itself will always have this structure. So basically it's going to be https://kc.humanitarianresponse.info/ and then your username, which I don't know for all of you. I cannot tell it for each one of you which one, but it's going to be the username you've received through email, or that you are already using, or that you'll be using in the future once you create your account. And then your username and password will be all unique, depending on the ones you have, that I, again, cannot tell you specifically which ones there are during this session. And another thing that that I told you during session 2 that I'll be showing to you, session 1, sorry, and that I will show you right now, is that by default, in your ODK Collect application, you'll need to enter the URL, the username, and the password. But if, for instance, for data protection issues, if you want to protect your password, you don't want the enumerators to see what the password of your server is, because they might know how to connect to it and then look at all the data that is collected and maybe even mess up a bit the server. If you want them to only need to use the URL to connect to the server, you will need to go to Kobo Toolbox itself, to the server itself, and tell it not to require the username and password. So there's a specific place where you need to enter in order to do so. So let me show it to you. Now I'm here again on my server. And then I click on this symbol here, S. So this is just my login. So I can have the account settings and language login. I can log out from here. And I'll click on account settings. And then here I have require authentication to see form and submit data. If it's ticked like this, it will request the URL, username, and password in order to be able to connect to the server from ODK Collect. If I untick it, it will only require the URL. The username and password can be empty, it's fine. It will connect to it still. Okay? So this is, yes, okay. So this is how you'll be able to manage those settings. Now, one last thing I wanted to show to you, and then maybe we can look at the questions you're having or go directly into the content, is once you start receiving data, how does it look like? How do you see you're receiving data, and how can you see how many data entries you've received? Now here, this is a screenshot of the server. So you'll have all your questionnaires here. So basically, once you have deployed your questionnaire and you have started collecting data with it, you have one row per questionnaire, and then you have this column here, submission. Submission is data entries. If you have a 0, it means you don't have any data. If you have any other number, 2, 3, 1, it means you have started receiving data. Then, once you are in the FACET Wins, for instance, survey on Kobo Toolbox on the server, you'll see you have the summary, form, settings tabs, and as soon as you receive data, you have a data tab that will appear. And if you click on here, on data tab, you'll be able to visualize some of the data. Now, don't worry if you have a lot of questions raising up right now about this, like what is gallery, what is downloads, what is map. As session 3 will focus on data management and analysis, we will further look into this during that session. But I just wanted to show you a bit for now, because when you'll start collecting the data for the baseline, you might wish to manage a bit the numbers that are coming in and so on, and see how much data you've collected, how to visualize it, and so on. So as soon as you have data incoming, you'll have this data tab appearing. And there are 2 ways to visualize the data that I will be showing to you today briefly. The first one, in table, you can see them one by one. One line is one data entry, and you can visualize them one by one, either in the table itself, or one by clicking on this eye here. or you could see them in reports, and you can see them like this with little graphs with how the data looks like. So basically, before you go into the content, let me show it to you. So on your brand new account, you will not be able to see this yet because you don't have any data yet. But let me show you, for instance, the wins here that I have. I click on it, and then I have a data tab here, data, and I can go in reports. I can see a report on the answers I have, or I can see them one by one in a table. And then I can access them from here and see all the answers. Okay, but don't worry if you have so many questions about this. We will dig into this in details, and we will look at each one of those options in session 3. Okay. Okay, now I'm done with the Kobo Toolbox account. Now, John, how do you? Are there any questions that you wish to look into right now, or shall we go into the content and look at the questions related to ODK Collect and Kobo Toolbox at the end?
I think there's just a couple outstanding questions, but I'd like to just go through a few points on the content, and then we can close that out and give some time for the remaining questions that we have, if that's okay.
Sure, of course. Yes.
Okay, so next slide, please. So we looked at the content, we looked at the feedback that you gave also on the content of the questions, either in the healthcare facilities form or in the Blue Schools form. And we just have a few points to share back with the group. These points will be part of a slight revision of the forms in order that they may function a little bit better. So the first thing was, and thanks again for those, I think it was about 14 of you who took the time to go through it and to give us the feedback. So the first point, you may have seen in the Blue Schools form that there was a heading, Sustainable Land Water Management. We've just decided within the Consortium Management Unit to make it a bit simpler. It's going to be called Environmental Activities, but it's the same thing, and there are just 2 questions under that heading. Under that heading, the second point, the question BL, so Blue Schools Environment 1A, the question as it is says, is at least one sustainable land or water management technique practiced in the school compound? We wanted to make that indicator a little bit easier to achieve basic. So the question as we will revise it is the same question, but we also give the option for practiced in the school compound or in an area adjacent to the school in case it's not feasible to practice that on the school compound. And the third part, we're seeing that if the answer to that question is no, the following question is still appearing. Please specify which techniques. So we'll make sure that that skip function is added so that question doesn't appear anymore. Next slide, please. Yes, another question came in on whether or not students learn about sustainable agriculture practices at school. So above, this is not a core question. It does not factor into the service level ratings. So we're going to move it down to an expanded question. It's going to be something that you might look at the baseline and at the end line. And then the question below will be renumbered to account for that. This is just a detail, but next slide, please. And finally, on the Blue Schools, some feedback. You know, in both forms, Blue Schools and healthcare facilities, we have preliminary questions and general information. So we're just going to change those headings slightly so that it's a little bit more precise. So it'll be preliminary context questions and then general school information, or for healthcare facilities, it'll be called general facility information. And as you enter your ODK Collect, you may be in the navigator and you may see very initially, you may see that there's please enter complementary information on issues or problems particular to the school. Actually, this is the very last question, and we thought it was confusing that this question appears so soon on the screen. So we'll be removing that from the initial screen, and you'll be seeing it at the end. That's just to avoid confusion for enumerators who think that they have to answer that right away. Caritas Switzerland had asked support for doing translation of the form into Khmer language. So for that, we'll come back to you. It would involve work on your side to make the translation into the form directly, and then some work on CartONG's side to see how they could help to deploy that form. If it does take more resources than we have, we might need to use resources from your project. But I suggest that we see that with Ramesh and others who are involved in that Blue Schools project in Cambodia. So the short answer is it's possible, and it should be possible within the resources we have, either between the CMU or between the project itself. Next slide. For healthcare facilities. Sorry, someone had something? Okay. For healthcare facilities, one remark was that there are a lot of questions under the—
Excuse me, John.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry for having not sent my comment, but under the school,
Yes.
that is menstrual hygiene management, 5C, it prompts one to a mandatory question that one should specify, yet the preceding question you have given, one has input a response, a radio button, but still it prompts one to specify, yet they did not select, yet I've not selected others, please. I think that is something they need to rectify, because if I'm prompted to respond to others, please specify, yet in the preceding question I did not select that, or I already input, I have a response in the preceding question, I should be able to proceed minus filling this section, because in the preceding I did not make mention of others specify.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Alex. That's definitely something that we can correct. Could you send us a message, an email, or complete the survey form with that? That would be really helpful for us to centralize all this feedback. But that's exactly the type of thing we're looking at. If there's a skip function which isn't working, then thank you for signaling that in the menstrual hygiene management section. So I just come back to a comment, believe this one was from Neong, from terrorism in Myanmar, stating the first part that there are a lot of questions, including expanded questions under the Wash and Health survey. So it's really important that the enumerators understand the questions very well. Absolutely. You know, as we always need to do a thorough training with the enumerators on the question, also on using these devices. It's important that they have a common understanding of what the questions are asking and how to respond to them. So by doing a mock survey together, it's a really good idea to, you know, facilitate that training, do a group practice, and especially if there are key terms that you need to make sure you're using in the correct local language, this is also important. And the second point was given by Satya from Terrorism India about the Wash and Healthcare Facilities questionnaire for delivery rooms. Satya very correctly points out that allowing an enumerator into a delivery room would be risky, as we're a development organization and we should not ask to enter this room. So Satya, for the guidelines that we gave during the session and also in the document, the Swiss Water and Sanitation definition of indicators for healthcare facilities, we did mention that it's best to avoid peak flows and make sure that when you are doing the survey, it's not interrupting the flow of services to patients. But of course, deliveries could be happening at any time and often they can be unforeseen. So in that case, what you could do is ask the hospital staff to go in and just survey and let you know what is happening there so that there's less presence of the team and the monitoring team. Of course, if the delivery room is empty, it's very normal, and we have gone into delivery rooms that are not having any patients just to see the situation.
Yes, I mean, this is one region. The other region I would like to point it out is that, see, entering into delivery room for an outsider is risky in the sense that, so that enumerator would be coming from outside. So he might carry some germs or bacteria also if he walks into the delivery room coming from outside. So in that perspective also, my suggestion was it is better to ask the questions of concerned staff of the HCF and get the information. Instead, having an option that enumerator coming from outside and having a chance to enter into the delivery room, which might actually create which might create problem for infection control.
Thank you very much, Satya, for that do no harm reminder. It's a very good observation, and we will put it into practice. Next slide, please. Now we're coming to the homework. We do have a few minutes, but we just want to go through the homework slides before we get to the 11 o'clock closing hour. So the first part of the homework is, please read this third section of the brief on mobile data collection that you've already received. If you do not have it or you need to access it again, please let us know and we will send it to you. Next. For the 15 projects who are conducting the Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium baseline, you will receive via email the XLS forms that you can use. These should be contextualized to your own survey content. That's based on information that you would have provided to us in the form. If you haven't provided us information about the admin levels, the geographic locations, the names of the facilities or schools, and the number of enumerator teams, please do that and send it to me. Next slide, please. So the homework is actually to do your baseline survey. And what we're requesting of all the 15 Swiss Water and Sanitation Consortium projects is to go ahead and do a baseline survey. So a baseline survey means you'd be doing both core and expanded questions. So there's a question that will come up after you've entered the preliminary information and the questions. Indicators and questions, please select the type of survey you want to realize. So there, please make sure to tick the core plus expanded questions. If you have done a baseline survey already in your project, which is in the case of Terre des Hommes, we've been discussing with the focal points and the regional advisors about this. So we'll come back on it, but right now we're feeling that everyone should do the full FACET survey for healthcare facilities and schools. And next slide. So as we did last time, we'll be sharing the presentations and the materials. And during the practical homework, you can get support from your regional advisor who may route the question through myself, or we'll be supporting you directly through the hotline support. The homework is for one school or all schools. Actually, the homework is to do your baseline survey for all the schools in your project and all of the healthcare facilities in your project. So however that can happen. And then there were a few other questions that came up from Girma earlier. Girma had pointed out that on the survey of the schools, a repair time of 1 week for water schemes seems very short, considering the remote areas where repair materials and skilled labor is not easily available. See, thank you, Girma, for this. It's true. 1 week was the standard that the consortium advisors decided on as a way to show that there was some response system in place in order to ensure that there's a water service at the school. So of course, there may be some situations where it's not possible to repair within a week, but the project teams and the stakeholders should try to analyze and see what could be done to expedite the repair time if such a situation arrives. And there are always ways to, in the reporting system, to indicate the reasons if a system was not functional according to the definition of the 1 week time. So for more discussion on that, please check in with your regional advisor. And also, Girma, you had asked about the number of latrines. Are we referring to the number of actual toilets or the number of blocks of toilets? It's actually the number of toilets or the number of places where people are using a single serving. There was a question previously about how to use the GPS, Claudia. There was also a question about how to get a blank form from Kobo. And once you've saved the form, you want to edit it, but we can't work how to edit it after you've saved it. I'm not sure if those questions have been answered, or I have to check now the chat window if there are new questions, but what would you think is most relevant to speak about now, Claudia?
So in terms of how to edit, how to edit the saved form and how to get blank form. It has already been covered during this session and last session as well, session 1. So basically, once you save a data entry, you'll have a 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, depending on how many data entries you have. And in order to access it, you would click on edit saved form and then enter it by clicking on the data you wish to modify, to further modify. And then you need to save it again and then finalize it and so on and so on. Now, in order to get the blank form, first enter the server credentials, make sure you have internet connection, and then click on get blank form in order to get your questionnaire from Kobo Toolbox. Yes, as you can see it here. Now for the GPS itself, you'll have the question on the GPS. So the first thing you'll need to check is in your Android settings, so not in ODK Collect itself, your Android settings, the location will be on. So here, sorry for my screen, it's a bit weird, but that your location is on, meaning you are allowing your phone to follow you and take GPS coordinates whenever you tell it to do so. And once you have done that, oh dear, my apologies, my form is going crazy. You will go into your questionnaire, for instance, the WINS form, and then, so can we already access?
I think you have to indicate what type of survey you'd like to do.
Yes, I believe it's
at the end of the preliminary.
Yes, core and expanded questions, and then I go to next, and I will go to, I believe it's the last one, GPS photo, supplementary data, GPS reading. So once you are here and you have put your location on your phone, meaning allowing it to follow you and take GPS coordinates whenever needed, then you can click on Start GeoPoint, and you will search for it and register it as soon as it's accurate enough and so on. So this is how we would do it. Now, if you're still experiencing issues, so we have covered them already in the sessions, but if you're still experiencing local issues with it, please let us know and we can follow up to the hotline as well individually.
Thanks, Claudia. A question came in from Jacob. Can you clarify if more than one staff member per organization should have access to Kobo? And if different staff can work on the same forms, or should we select one staff member per organization to lead the process?
What do you think about this, John? It is as you prefer, actually, as it's best.
Yeah, I think that this would be whatever monitoring and evaluation practices that organization has. They could restrict the access and have one person accessing the account and putting the forms on the account, and then others, they would control who has the password to that account and who can access them, who can put the information on the smartphones. But there could be more than one way of doing it. Claudia, have you seen other ways?
No, not necessarily. It is as you think it's best in terms of organization of who does what. Now, if you can all work from one account, you can have different accounts and share the data and questionnaires from one account to the other. Is as you think it's best. Now, if you are interested to have a look at in terms of how to share your accounts, we can also do that. However, it's already 11 a.m.
Yeah, we might have to keep that one. Jacob, does that answer your question initially, to have maybe one or two people who have access to the Kobo account and they're controlling which forms are going on the project account, and then they're also deploying them? And then giving that specific, you could also have people who are specifically manipulating the smartphone to upload the form, the blank form, and then giving that to the enumerators so that, as Claudia said earlier, the enumerators don't have any kind of sensitive information or access to the forms or to the accounts. So we could maybe guide you on that. If you have more need for support, please contact the hotline.
Thank you, John. Just to clarify, perhaps, so shall we have one set of credentials, username and password per organization that different staff members use, or should different staff members have their own username and password? Which of the two options you think is better?
Claudia, please correct me if I'm wrong, but on one Kobo account, it's, as far as I know, it's one set of credentials for accessing.
Yes. So you have one per Kobo account. So and this would mean one questionnaire and one database. So if you wish to have all the data collected by the staff members in one place, you will need to use one login for all of them.
So probably there, I think other organizations have kept that restricted to 2 or 3 people maximum, but we might get information from Terre des Hommes as to how they've set that up, for example, in the future, and come back to you. Just Singak from Cambodia, does that require all Blue Schools projects of countries need to use the same XLS